Get on the show.
Call now.
888-640-9385. It's Sid Rosenberg on 640 Sports.
The 1-2 pitch to Stanton. Swung on, hit on the ground wide of third. Campbell's got it. He throws to first. Put it in the books. The New York Mets have swept a 4-game series from the Miami Marlins. They have an 8-game winning streak. It's an afternoon that is certainly tinged with disappointment given the injuries to Blevins and d'Arnaud. However, the New York Mets have increased their early season record to 10-3. So on an afternoon of mixed emotions, the Mets still have something to celebrate. Their 8th consecutive win in the 9th inning for the Marlins. And remember, Matt Harvey gets the win to go to 3-0. No runs, no hits. Familia works around the leadoff walk. No errors. One man left who was in scoring position. The final score, the New York Mets 7 and the Miami Marlins 6.
Well, it's not a good day. It's a good day we won. That's we'll take that away and we'll get billed for the next day. But, tough day for us, certainly. They'll be seen tomorrow by, by the people at HSS, and they will let us know more tomorrow. But, they're both really upset, and so we'll just, again, as we have done thus far, have to pick up the pieces and move forward.
And I know on Travis, the hitting was a continuation of what he did after he came up from the minors last year, but the combination of what he was doing at the plate, just how well he started the season.
He's played great. And that's, again, when he gets back, we'll still expect a lot. Once again, we're going to have somebody to step up, and someone else is going to have to pick up the slack.
In the dark, I'd like to read his mind. But I'm frightened of the things I might find. Oh, there must be something he's thinking of to tear him away. When I tell him that I'm falling in love, what does he say?
Little Tuesday for you, 8:06 on your Monday morning. That was Terry Collins, the New York Metropolitans. Tell him how he rose. Tell him.
Put it in the box.
4-game sweep of the Marlins, first time ever, but it does come with a cost. Don't forget, coming up in about 10 minutes, we're going to replay the conversation we had about 2 hours ago. He does all the big NBA playoff games alongside Mike Breen and Mark Jackson, former Rockets and Knicks coach Jeff Van Gundy, who joined us live from a Cleveland airport very early this morning. We'll play that in about 10 minutes, and then Hank Goldberg will be here, the legendary Hank Goldberg, as he is each and every Monday, coming up in about 25 minutes. But the Mets get it done. They sweep the Marlins. The Mets' record is now 10-3. It's the best in the National League. They're one game up on the 9-4 Atlanta Braves. They start a series against Atlanta, a big one coming up tomorrow. The only team in baseball with a better record than the Mets is the 10-2 Detroit Tigers, and they start a big 4-game series today in Detroit against the Yanks. So it all comes back to New York baseball. The Mets did win, but they lose. Harvey did go to 3-0. Tom Kohler was awful. Redmond is his job is on the line. He's like, well, wait a second. Is it my fault Matt Latos gave up 7 runs in the first inning against Atlanta? Is it my fault Kohler gave up 7 against the Mets yesterday? He's had 2 starters in the first 13 games give up 7 runs in an inning, a touchdown.
Let alone Wilmer Flores homering twice.
Right. So, but Redmond may get fired. And again, ironically, the name that is being mentioned down here by Clark Spencer and a host of others is Mets AAA manager and former New York Met World Series hero Wally Backman as the man that may replace Mike Redmond if, in fact, the Marlins struggle against the Phillies starting tomorrow. That could be the move. But the Mets did lose lefty Blevins and the very young, talented catcher Travis d'Arnaud. The Mets have a blue-chip catcher in the minors. His name is Kevin Plawecki, who's even a bigger name than d'Arnaud, who was really the bigger name in the deal that brought along Syndergaard in the R.A. Dickey deal. So now you go to Plawecki, and we'll see what he's got. I guess he's going to start tomorrow against the Braves, right?
Yeah, they're bringing him right up, and he's going to be the number 1.
Yeah.
Anthony Recker will still be the backup.
Recker will still be the backup, right. So the Mets, in the 3 games against Atlanta, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, they're going to throw Nice, G, and Cologne before the big weekend series against the Yanks. The Yanks start a 4-game series in Detroit today. CeCe, Eovaldi, Warren, and maybe Tanaka, maybe not. You may see Tanaka DeGrom instead Friday in the Bronx, and then you'll get Pineda, Matt Harvey Saturday in the Bronx. How about that?
Nice.
The Marlins against the Phillies will throw Herron, Cozart, and Phelps. And then the Marlins will host the Nats, and we'll see if Mike Redmond is still the manager. But that is a big story down here that already 13 games in with a record of 3-10, the Marlins skipper. And, of course, listen, a lot of that goes to this. In professional sports, if your superstar doesn't like your manager, the manager goes. It's kind of like a program director. If the best talent at your station doesn't like you, then if you don't get fired, you're completely castrated. They cut your balls off, and you can talk to the day to your blue in the face. No one's going to listen. Same thing in sports. If the guy doesn't like the manager, again, I keep using the example of Magic Johnson. He couldn't stand Paul Westhead. He got him fired. Who stepped in? Pat Riley. Brian Hill was the manager, the coach in Orlando, I think. It may have been somebody else. Anthony Hardaway hated the coach. Guy got fired. So that's how it works, and Stanton doesn't like Mike Redmond. He specifically talked about a lack of motivation and a lack of inspiration after the Mets loss on Friday. They've lost 2 more since, and so the Marlins may make a move which upsets Langella because he is on record not that long ago saying, quote, Mike Redmond is the best young manager in baseball.
Quote?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We'll find that audio. We'll have to
Okay, we'll look for that.
doctor something up.
Hey, how about those Stanton tying run at second yesterday and he grounds out in the ninth?
How was that Mike Redmond's fault?
Yeah. Well, I guess he wasn't motivated. Redmond
I guess
didn't
not.
motivate him
That's
up
true.
to the plate,
Yeah, he
you know.
didn't give him the big pep talk before.
Right, or the pat on the butt,
You
you
could
know.
really use this, Giancarlo.
Yeah, tie it up here, buddy. Pat on the butt.
The way Stanton's playing, he should go back to Mike. That's the problem.
Yes.
Giancarlo worked last year. Now he should go back to Mike Stanton. He should just change his name every single year till he gets to the results he wants. What do you think about that?
I like Mike better.
Yeah, I know you do. You don't like those names that are too ethnic, like
Well,
Giancarlo
it's very
screams
tough.
of Latin.
Well, just-
Mike could be anybody.
Well, is
Like
it
the ex-pitcher for the
Giancarlo?
Yankee.
Right, there you go.
Giancarlo, I don't, it gets confusing.
It's Jean, say Jean.
Yeah, Jean. I don't, what is
No,
Jean?
Jean. Like, remember that show, Dear Jean?
Jean, right.
Yeah.
Well, Giancarlo, I don't know. Just
No.
Mike. Mike is nice.
Mike is nice. How was Paul Blart? Was that good?
Paul Blart was great.
I think my son liked it. I didn't talk to Danielle about it. They went to see it yesterday afternoon, so I could kind of lounge out on my birthday and relax, which was very nice of my family. My daughter Ava went to play tennis up in Palm Beach, had another great weekend, and won a couple matches. And my son and Danielle went to see Paul Blart, which you did as well.
Yes.
My son is 6 and you're 48. Kind of shows you.
He didn't go with Ava, with
No.
Danielle.
But
and,
my wife went
No,
because
no,
my
don't get jealous.
My wife went because my 6-year-old son wanted to go. This moron went because he wanted to go. He's 48 years old.
Nick was with us, too.
Right.
Yeah, but Nick is a teenager.
Right.
Yes. But
Isn't this like a...
Paul Blart is funny to all.
No, it's
funny
not. It's
is-
stupid. It's stupid.
It reaches all ages.
No, listen, I love Kevin James, and I am guilty every single day of watching reruns of what Orlando
Queen
say?
of King.
Queen of Kings, that moron. King of Queens every day. Every day. A great show. Kevin James was brilliant. But more than often, his movie roles, usually alongside Adam Sandler, are stupid. And this mall cop is no different.
No, this is a great role. This is
It's a great role.
This is
what do you mean by
this
great
is his
role?
best one by sure.
His best.
What did you
The
think of-
comedy is funny. I laughed out loud.
I did see the coming attraction where he hits on the cop, and then the horse kicks him in the face, and he slams.
Yes.
That seemed kind of
You
funny.
like that? That's funny. Yeah, there's a lot of that kind of stuff. Slaps in the faces and just stuff like that.
Yeah.
Now I want to know what Danielle thought of the movie. 'cause
Yeah, I
now
got to
I'm
ask her.
curious.
Yeah, she hasn't told me.
She probably found herself enjoying it much more than she thought.
She probably thought it was stupid, so she's not surprised that you liked it.
No.
Yeah.
No.
What is the?
I had
what
to
is
think
the-
about that.
What is the correlation there? If my wife thought it was stupid, and you enjoyed it, what does that say?
She doesn't have good taste in comedy.
Well, I didn't say that. I'm just-
That's a,
she may come back and say it was brilliant.
well, then we know she does have good taste.
Let me see. Here it is.
Oh.
Right. Right off the bat, the first two was terrible movie. I swear to God.
Of course.
Terrible
Of course. What do
movie.
you're her husband. What
Not
do you think?
unlike you, Gabriel was the only person laughing out loud in the whole movie theater. Terrible movie.
It does. I saw a terrible movie at the top.
Yeah,
Well,
and listen, she's got a good sense of humor. She's married to me.
Wow,
She
well.
appreciates a good film. If she says terrible movie and you say it's great, no disrespect to you.
No, of course.
Terrible
Total
movie.
disrespect to me.
Why?
Complete disrespect to me.
You actually sat through the SpongeBob movie. You thought it was okay.
No.
That was terrible.
I told you that day that it was awful.
I thought it was
painful.
Alicia that told me that.
No.
But you thought this was a great film. This was
this was good.
A comedic genius.
Better than expected.
Would you put that in the same category as Stripes and Airplane? The great comedies.
Oh, yeah.
Something about Mary.
Caddyshack. Yeah,
Caddyshack.
sure.
You put this right there. Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
Now I have to see it.
It's a huge step up for him.
Let me
It's
ask you
amazing.
this. Let me ask you this, and you got to be honest. How many joints did you smoke before the movie that you found it that funny?
At least 3.
Okay, guys, welcome to paradise.
Welcome back to the Sid Rosenberg Show on 640 Sports.
A great time is a sure thing at Gulfstream Park.
And now, it's time for Hank Goldberg's Hammer Time with Sid Rosenberg. Brought to you by Gulfstream Park Racing and Casino and the Village at Gulfstream Park. Now, here's Hank and Sid on 640 Sports.
And you ask me what I want this year, and I try to make this kind and clear. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. 'Cause I don't need boxes wrapped in strings and designer love and empty things. Just a chance that maybe we'll find better days. So take these words and sing out loud, 'cause everyone is forgiven now.
'Cause tonight's the night. Yes, Gulfstream Park brings you me and Hank every Monday, and we are really honored to have the legendary, I love him, he's the best ever in South Florida, Hank Goldberg. Better Days is that song by the Goo Goo Dolls, and maybe better days are ahead for the Marlins. Don't forget, coming up in about 21 minutes, former great manager of the Rockies, the Pirates, the Tigers, and won a World Series down here in 1997. The great Jimmy Leland will be here at 9. Then we'll do Yankee baseball with Mark Feinsand at 9:30. But here he is, the legend, Hank Goldberg. Good morning, Hank. How are you, pal?
Jimmy Leland. What great memories I have of him when he was managing the Marlins.
You don't have the same memories right now with Mike Redmond?
Well, Jimmy Leland was really a good guy, and he was not only a great manager, but he was a lot of fun to be around, actually. And I used to see him a lot at the ballpark, and I used to see him a lot at the racetrack.
Oh, that's Jimmy. Jimmy was at the racetrack and smoking cigarettes in the dugout. You got to love that guy, right?
Yeah, and terrific baseball guy, and he and Dave. You know, last week we talked about the Marlins a little bit, and if I was ever a fan of the Marlins, I was a great fan of them when he was here, and I was really close to Dave Dombrowski too. And you know, Dombrowski did a terrific job. And look at the start that the Tigers are off to this year.
They've been great. In fact, they've got the best record in baseball. They're 10-2, a half game better than my 10-3 Mets. And the Yankees start a huge 4-game set, Hank, in Detroit today against those aforementioned Tigers. And Dombrowski is still in Detroit, and Leland is still there, too, in a consulting role. And they're all doing great. But how about here? You know, listen, Loria doesn't F around. You know that, Hank. He got rid of Edwin Rodriguez quickly, Freddie Gonzalez quickly, fired Joe Girardi after a year. So even though it sounds ridiculous that we're talking about the future for the manager after 13 games, if the Marlins don't play well against the Phillies in the next 3 days, he's going to get rid of Redmond, isn't he?
Yeah, it's well, one of the things that's fortunate for the Marlins is they won't have to play the Mets again for a while. And I know you're happy about that.
Oh, I am. No, I'm not happy.
I mean you're happy about the way the Mets are going.
Oh, well, we're playing great. We had a couple of bad injuries yesterday. 2 guys broke bones in the win, so it was a costly win for the Mets, but we've been great. But this screams of this, Hank. You've been around sports a long time. And whether it's Magic Johnson not liking Paul Westhead, that's how Pat Riley got the job way back when in Los Angeles. When your superstar player doesn't like the coach and or the manager, he's dead man walking. And Stanton came out Friday after the Marlins lost to the Mets and pretty much ripped his own manager. If Stanton doesn't like Redmond, he's done, no?
Well, first of all, they had what's the deadly players-only meeting on Saturday. where for 30 minutes before batting practice, they had one such meeting, and Stanton came out talking about the lack of fire. And, of course, he went out the next day and struck out 3 times.
It is amazing how that happens. And, by the way, also had a chance yesterday with his club coming all the way back from a 7-1 deficit, cutting it to 7-6. Stanton had another chance to come up big and didn't. And also, let's not forget, Hank, Tom Kohler gave up 7 in 1 inning yesterday. Last week, Matt Latos gave up 7 in 1 inning against Atlanta. How are any of those things Mike Redmond's fault?
No. The pitching, which was suspect at the beginning of the season, has turned out to be not very good. And, he lost one of his bullpen guys. And, of course, his ace is not going to be ready until June, and he may not be around to welcome him back. and part of the big problem is, now he's got a catcher that they brought up a week ago, who is he's inserted in the starting lineup, and his starting catcher at the beginning of the season is complaining because he's been benched. And he came back and played on Saturday and went 0 for 3.
Right.
And his batting average is I think it was 0.83 the last time I looked. Yeah. And he came back, and I'm not making a joke.
Yeah.
He came back and played
Saturday.
On Saturday. He went 0 for 3.
Yeah.
And he's not any good. He just isn't.
No. He killed him the first series, too. He had the bases loaded against Atlanta, like the first game of the year, and hit it to a double play, home to first, talking about Saltamaggia.
Yeah.
You know this, Hank. In football, people always love the backup quarterback. In baseball, they always love the next manager. And I do a lot of shows on FAN up in New York the last couple of years. You know that. And Met fans are always pining for one. They don't like Terry Collins now, they do. But they're always pining for one guy, and that is former New York Met hero, second baseman Wally Backman, who's been the AAA manager for the Mets. And reading Clark Spencer in today's Miami Herald, Hank, that's the guy the Marlins are going after, Wally Backman. How about that?
Isn't he the manager in Staten Island?
No, I think he's in AAA. Staten Island is the single A for the Yanks, but he's been a minor league manager really his whole life. He had one shot in Arizona and he went berserk. He went crazy. So be interesting. Hey, what do you think about Tim Tebow coming back to the Eagles?
Well, before we leave the subject of the Marlins, I mean, Redmond was he's a real good guy, but what is wrong with this team? If you further analyze the problems they have, they're terrible in the field.
Yeah.
They make fundamental mistakes. Then they're not pitching well, and they're not hitting in key situations. All those things add up
to 3-10. Yeah, listen, your ace is out, like you said, Fernandez. The guy that became the ace when Fernandez went down last year, Henderson Alvarez, he's hurt too. So now you're missing the top 2 guys in your rotation. They brought in 2 veterans. Harron's been good. Latos hasn't. The hitting has been very untimely. They're still a young baseball team, and yeah, I mean, you pointed it out. All the things they do is the mark, right now, it's early, but the mark of a bad baseball team.
And if one of their top pitchers is smart, he's betting against them.
Right, well, that's what I was going to say to you. See, right there, Hank, if you're making picks, wherever you're making picks these days, is it as easy as Marlins in action today? I'm going the other way.
Well, it was a no-brainer to bet the Mets all weekend.
Yeah, but yesterday you had to lay a huge number, I think, with Matt Harvey, right? I mean, are you one of those guys when you're making baseball picks that you'll take a pitcher who may be 2-1?
It's tough for me to do that.
Right. Most guys don't like doing that either. So, but let's get to the NFL here. The draft is coming up next Thursday, and it looks like Tim Tebow, as of today, will officially become an Eagle.
On with Philadelphia.
Yeah, you surprised he's back in the NFL?
Well, he worked very hard, and he wants very much to play football, and why not give him a shot? He's not going to start anywhere. So, yeah, why not?
And what are the Dolphins doing? What is Mike Tannenbaum and those guys doing leading up to the draft next Thursday?
Yeah, it's. I mean, they have so many needs, and if you read the Sun Sentinel, he's one of the beat writers there who thinks he's the general manager. He's been writing about it every day now for the last 3 months.
Is this Omar Kelly you just took a shot at?
Yeah.
Yes.
And the latest is they must draft an offensive lineman with the first pick That's ridiculous.
Right.
You know, they've been doing that. You know, he's been saying that. You know, and they've done that every year. But they need a lot of things right now, and they still haven't signed a veteran wide receiver, which we talked about last week. And you know, there's still, I guess Jennings is still out there, and you know, they still need that. You know, drafting another rookie wide receiver would be a fine idea, but you know, they need help. There's some pretty good running backs who are going to be available, and they need that. I don't go along with the notion that they need a top defensive back with the top pick, because I think they're pretty well fortified in that area right now. They need linebacking desperately. You know, they have a lot of needs. And to say that that this draft is what's going to put them in the playoffs puts an awful lot of pressure on Philbin, because I don't think that the draft is necessarily going to put them over the top.
But if it was up to you and you had to go one way, because I agree with you. I've seen enough already. Going back to Parcells when he got here. Could have had Matt Ryan. We took Jake Long. And there's enough guys there. Pouncey and a host of others. They just gave Brandon Albert $1 billion. I agree with you. I think there are some other pressing needs here that they need to address. If it was one position and it was totally up to you, would it be the running back? Would it be the linebacker? What would it be?
Well, I love the running back from Georgia, if they could get him, if he's there.
Gurley. Yeah.
But, you know, I'm not a draft expert when it comes to those things. So,
do you like the draft? Do you find yourself sitting there watching your colleagues, Berman and all those guys? Because for me, listen, I love football, Hank. I love my Giants. I like the Dolphins. I love all that stuff. But much like that stupid thing they do in Indianapolis, I can't watch that coverage. And really, after the first 9 or 10 picks of the NFL draft, I got to leave that too. I got to go.
Friday is the Oaks and Saturday is the Derby. I'm going to waste my time handicapping the draft.
Saturday? This Saturday? No, next Saturday.
No, next week.
Right, the same day as the Pacquiao-Mayweather fight.
Yeah.
Now, will you be in Kentucky?
No, I will not.
You will not be there.
I was told that I was going to be in the plans for the Triple Crown with ESPN, and then a week ago they told me they had a change of direction, which means we're not using you anymore.
Son of a bitches.
And they waited until 3 weeks before the event to tell me that, which makes it a little late for me to catch on with somebody else, which was not very nice.
No, and you've been doing their stuff for, what, 20-something years?
23 years.
All right, so you're there for 23 years, and you really are. I'm not blowing smoke up your ass, Hank. Everybody knows you. You're the greatest horse guy in the country. You've always been. And they wait to the very last minute. That says somebody there has a real hard-on for you, no? Somebody.
Well, that happened a year ago. You know, essentially when they took me off the football stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not that. It's they don't exactly like people my age who were making the money that I was, and they're bringing somebody else in whose name I forgot the minute they didn't even tell me who it was. Somebody else told me.
Right.
But yeah, I was pretty annoyed about it, obviously.
Sure.
So it's there's nothing I can say about it.
Well, do you have time now to catch on, not for all three, with the Derby being next Saturday, but what about the Preakness or the Belmont?
I'm talking to a couple of people. My
Good.
agent is about the Preakness. But,
right.
But, you know, I can't work with NBC because actually they've got, you know, their claim is that they already have enough ex-ESPN people
right.
that they don't want it to look like an ESPN show.
Gotcha.
So, you know, and you know, the problem with the Derby is that other networks aren't doing a lot of coverage of it because NBC's got the show.
That's it. Hammond, Acostas, those guys at NBC, and then you got the ESPN coverage, and that's about it, right? I mean, there's Fox or any of these other companies.
I'm going to do stuff with CBS Interactive, and
Good.
they'll probably use
Good.
my selections on their cable network.
Last year was such a great, I always bring this up with you, Hank, I can't help it. That Saturday in New York, it was Game 3, Rangers-Kings, Stanley Cup. It was the Cotto-Martinez fight at Madison Square Garden for HBO, but California Chrome ran that day at the Belmont trying to win the Triple Crown, which we've been teased about 1,000 times. There's been about 15 horses since affirmed that went into the Belmont with a chance to do it and couldn't get it done. It's been a long time. Is there a horse this year that has that type of capability?
Well, American Pharoah really looked terrific in the Arkansas Derby, and he's one of two horses that Baffert will send, Bob Baffert, and he really likes him a lot. He said that he's the best 3-year-old he's ever had, and he's had some real good ones over the years. He also has a horse named Dortmund, who is undefeated, who won the Santa Anita Derby, and they're going to be 1-2 on the odds board. And American Pharoah, everybody had thought was just a horse who was a speedball, but in his last race in Arkansas, they took him from a little bit off the pace, and his performance was stunning. So they'll be watching him, and Gary Stevens, a great jockey, said that this is the deepest field quality-wise that he can remember. And if you look at the top 5 or 6 horses, there's some real good ones, and they haven't run against each other. There have been, with the point system being the way it is, horses are coming from here, they're coming from Arkansas, they're coming from Louisiana and California, a lot of different places, and now they're going to face each other for the first time, which is what makes this Derby so interesting.
And where are we in terms of popularity? We always talk that, God forbid, Hank, a horse wins the Kentucky Derby and somebody else wins the Preakness. And now the Belmont really, at that point, is rendered unimportant. We always want the opportunity, even though we've come up short 1 billion times, for a horse to win the Triple Crown. Where are we in terms of horse racing popularity? Because California Chrome last year really, really did big things for that sport, I thought.
Well, Shared Belief was another horse, and part of the reason for his popularity was that Jim Rome owned him.
Yes.
And Rome really, popularized him. But he's a great horse, and he ran Saturday in a stakes race in West Virginia. It was the first time he had run basically outside of California. And he had beaten California Chrome in the Breeders' Cup. Anyway, he got hurt in that race, and he pulled up. Although they said the injury wasn't that serious, and he'll run again. And California Chrome right now is in England. He had gone to Dubai. They let him in there because he wasn't Jewish, and he ran second in a big race in Dubai, and now they're going to see if he can run on grass in a big race at Ascot, and if he can, of course, his value is going to be incredidible anyway.
Yeah. Or to what do you call that? The stud, right? Like, oh my God, what was that horse? The first one, he was getting Storm, whatever he was getting. $500,000 each time.
Well, Zenyatta, the great filly, her first offspring ran on Friday at Santa Anita. They made a big deal out of it. I watched the race on TVG Friday, and she started off last just like Zenyatta does. The only problem was she finished that way. So much for breeding.
Right. Last one, Hank, and we'll let you run as we continue to do this.
Well, I want to ask you, because the big story this week came out of ESPN, not that I'm sticking pins in their dolls or anything like that,
right?
But as Charles Barkley said the other day, when he was talking about how much he likes hockey, and he loves watching their coverage there, and one thing he said that he liked about it is you don't have to watch whiny little girls. But what do you think about Britt McHenry's situation? You and I belong to the suspension club, but we should welcome her in.
Yes.
But we never did anything like she did.
Listen, I like her. She's cute and all that stuff, but she was, way over the top, way over the line, bordered on disgusting. And like you said, I've done some stuff too over the years, but so it's almost hypocritical for me to be too tough on her. But I really thought that was a bit much, no?
You know something? She's all the things you say, except that if you've watched her reports, what she says on the air is unintelligible. And I would have used it as an excuse to fire her.
You would fire her or you wouldn't?
I would.
Oh, yeah, she's got to go. Yeah. And again, I hate to ask for people to get fired only because I've been there and it sucks, But, yeah, that was too much. That was too much for me. Hey, are you interested in the making picks, I should say, the NBA playoffs?
Of course, I had a great day yesterday.
You did. Yeah.
in the NBA playoffs. Don't ask me about the hockey games.
Right. Oh, really? Not a good day?
I told you not to ask me about the hockey games.
Well, who's going to win the Ranger-Penguin game tonight? I got to know that.
Well, Rangers should bounce back, I would think. But Sidney Crosby was tremendous.
He was.
In
He
game
was.
2.
Yeah.
But I tell you something. I stayed up last night to watch the San Antonio
Clippers
game.
So did I.
Because I thought it was going to be a great matchup, and the
No.
Clippers crushed them.
They crushed them. And again, with the NBA, we know the very first game on Saturday afternoon, the Wizards behind Paul Pierce got a road win in Toronto. After that, if you went home team, Hank, with the Bulls over the Bucks, with the Rockets over the Mavericks, with Golden State, well, they didn't cover over New Orleans. The Hawks covered most of the way, but Brooklyn got a late backdoor cover. But if you went home team most of the way this weekend and laid the wood, Memphis especially and the Clippers, you had a good day, good couple of days.
Yeah. Atlanta, is now unbeaten, against the Nets, but the Nets did come back strong against them. But Atlanta just, I think, got lazy with that big lead that they had.
Yeah, I think so, too. And look, the Nets still have some veteran guys, and some, Lopez is a monster down low. So they've got some matchup issues for Atlanta. But in the end, you would think the Hawks are going to be too good. I love you. This is my favorite segment of the week. We're thrilled to have you each and every Monday, Hank, and can't wait to do it again next Monday, buddy. Have a great week. Thank you.
This is fun for me, Sid. Thanks a lot.
You got it. It's the legendary Hank Goldberg. Who did this deal? Was this Matt Bell?
I think it's Matt Bell.
He's a genius. He's really not. He's actually a...
Well, this was a genius move.
This is a genius move to get Hank Goldberg, the greatest sports talk host in the history of South Florida. Man could talk football, baseball, basketball, hockey, horse racing, you name it, on with me each and every Monday. Was it Matt's idea or was it Mike Nyman down at Gulfstream Park? I'd rather give the credit to Matt, I guess. I don't know.
We'll give it to Matt. Maybe,
You see where they put Matt's office at PBB? There's not a living soul within 50 yards.
Practically out of the building.
I mean, he is practically out of, yes.
He's as far away from anybody as you could be.
Then he has that Igor limp, of course. And
he's still limping, yes.
Right, so he's like all the way at the end of the building. No one's next to him. He starts limping towards the front. It's just... And I love the guy, but it's clear that they hate him.
Already? They can't. I mean...
Well, look where they put him.
Well, I mean, as far as privacy, and it was a big office. It was a nice size.
Not really.
No?
No.
Yeah.
No TV, no couch.
Compared to,
no soda machine?
He hasn't moved in yet, but...
Well, they're already moving him out of that office.
Well, practically, yeah. He's practically off the floor.
Now they're putting him in some other office. You heard that? They're moving him.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's in his second office in a week.
Well, if he gets demoted down to like a cubicle or something, then... I like that office. Personally, I think where I'd like to be.
Yeah, because you can go back there and masturbate to whatever the hell you want. No one even knows.
No, you just, be away from all the noise,
Be away from any, like I said, any living soul.
Right.
Forget the bastards even there. I don't know.
Well, who remembers these even there?
I don't think they like him very much. It's just my...
Well, he's kind of an outsider. We're all outsiders coming in here.
Yeah. Well, we walked in, we kind of took over the place, didn't we?
They gave us visitor stickers
at
first.
That was hilarious. Take those visitor stickers off. The girl didn't know at the front. Visitor stickers. Here comes the muscle, by the way.
She goes, "What's your name? What are you guys doing here?"
Right. Sid Rosenberg. Who? What? Sid Rosenberg.
Well, she had to be all of 19.
Yeah, no, she was. Yeah. Anyway, Jim Leland is one of the greatest managers in the history of Major League Baseball. Had great success in Pittsburgh, Detroit, won a World Series down here with the Marlins in 1997. Is now part of the front office with the Tigers, who now take on the Yankees today. Best record in baseball, and also works alongside guys like Joe Torre and Tony La Russa inside the offices of Major League Baseball. He's a big macha, and he loves me. He's on this show all the time. So we'll talk to the great Jim Leland, baseball.